We now have a student, Arnav Chopra, a senior in the IBDP program at Ahmedabad International School, taking a live masterclass on learning through visual storytelling with students from TFI classrooms in Mumbai. Over to you, Arnav.
Hello, everyone. I'm Arnav, and I'm so glad to have all of you here with me today. Thank you so much for being here. So, I'm a 12th grader at Ahmedabad International School, Gujarat, and today I'll be taking a masterclass on visual storytelling and its importance in education and how you can use it to simplify concepts. So, I'll just give you an overview of the session today, how it'll look like. So I'll start by introducing my book, something I've been working on, something very interesting. Then we'll move on to conducting experiments in visual storytelling. Here, I would like you to understand the power of visual storytelling for yourself, and we'll have some discussions. It'll be a lot of fun. Then we move on to a do-it-yourself session where I'll walk you through some tips and tricks that I have learned over my time working on my book, working on my comic, and how you can use them to simplify concepts for yourself and in class. And then we'll conclude by having a small debrief. So I'll just tell you a bit about my book, something I've been working on for the past couple of months. So my book, I made a book on a topic in physics called particle physics. So particle physics is just a branch of physics which studies the building blocks of matter, which are like small particles, much smaller than atoms. So it's very interesting. But it's taught a bit late in the school curriculum, around grade 12. So that's because I was so interested. That's why I created a comic on particle physics. So in this comic, my protagonist is a child named Shiv. He's a 9th grader, a very interesting guy who travels around with the timekeeper of the universe, who is an omnipotent being and can control the laws of physics. And so Shiv is chosen to succeed the timekeeper, but must learn about the universe first. And he goes on a journey of meeting scientists and interacting with particles so that he learns more about physics, he gets more interested so that he becomes a worthy candidate to become the next timekeeper. So I would just like to talk about why I created this book in the first place, because I saw 3 big problems in my class. First of all, students in my class were very scared of physics and science in general, especially topics like particle physics, because they are so content heavy. There's a lot of content, so there's a lot of rote learning happening, and that really scares students. What I wanted to do was remove all that stigma around particle physics and physics in general so that people can enjoy it. The second problem I saw was that particle physics is taught a bit late in the school curriculum. It's not introduced up till 12th grade. And I learned it quite before. So I really enjoyed learning it in 10th grade. And I feel that everyone could do the same. We actually skipped a slide. Can you go back? Again. Yeah. So could you go back one slide? Yeah. So sorry about that. So it's taught a bit late in the school curriculum, and I feel that if we teach it early, let's say 9th grade, then people will develop the love for physics a bit early on so that they won't shut themselves out. And the third, and probably the biggest problem I've seen in myself as well, is that students take what we learn in school all for granted. And we can have that happening because there are centuries of efforts and numerous physicists have gone into making what we learn in textbooks today. So the least we can do is acknowledge that effort. So I want to solve these 3 problems using my book. So what is visual storytelling? Here we come to the fun part. So visual storytelling can be anything as long as it conveys a message through visual media. So if you're using a combination of text and pictures, it becomes visual storytelling. So comics, because you use a lot of pictures there, that is visual storytelling. Animations is visual storytelling. Even picture books can be visual storytelling. Even drama can be visual storytelling, as long as it's something visual. So why is visual storytelling so powerful? Now here, I would like to open the ground up for you guys. I would like you to share your responses through chat or through mic so that I can record them. Before I give you my perspective, I would like to see what you guys think. Now you can definitely come off mute and share your answers. Love to hear them.
Can I?
Yes, sure, sure.
So I think visual storytelling is powerful because if we humans can show different type of emotions while telling others, and if we show the emotion, the person who is front of us see that emotion, feel like us, and then that person also feels like, yeah, there is something in this. So why should I not give? I should do something, and then that person will be more interested. That person will also learn, will remember, because if we have some feelings can stay for long, and if we get, by chance we are hurted, so we remember that for a long. So if we get knowledge, we will remember, because there are a lot of things which can make us remember, like our emotion, our expression, and everything. The way people tell, people laugh at it, and but then also they remember, yeah, I was laughing on this sentence, so that sentence can be very powerful, so that person can also remember. This can be there. This is my point.
Definitely, definitely. That's exactly right. That's one of the biggest benefits of visual storytelling I see as well. Anyone else?
Yes. Can I?
Okay. Can I?
Yes, sure.
Yeah. So actually, you told about the problems that you have solved, and I totally like that way of solving that problem. And I think if somebody is telling physics or sharing things, an event like something invented about a gravity, then our mind is full of thinking, and we think of many images in our mind. Why? And you have because of visual storytelling, we can see exactly what is in the front. Whatever we think while studying is exactly in front of us, and that's really useful for us and others to see that yes, that's happening, and it will be so grateful to see all the images and understand that yes, this person had founded it is, and this will be so easy. And most of the things people scared of people by physics and science, so they can see that exactly it is so much easy to see it in a view without like listening. In first of listening and seeing the actual view is so different and so easy for us. That is also a great solve solution.
Definitely, definitely. That's a great point. That's a really great point. And I see in the chats that the essence of the responses you have given me is that visual storytelling makes everything learning very fun and interesting because you can actually see what's going on. It makes it innovative. That's exactly right. You captured. I think there's nothing left for me to say now. It's great. That's great. Yes, our brain. Yes, Karthik, our brain does learn stuff easier, faster, and it's easier to understand if it's visual storytelling. Definitely, definitely. And that's actually the reason why I chose visual storytelling to teach physics. I made a comic. So yeah. So now here are a few of my points. I mean, you've covered all of them, but I'll just have them on the screen anyway. So
Can I add to one point? Just
definitely.
so we are visual storytelling. From my point of view, is that all of you said correct. But from my point of view, if if people are getting motivated by this, then that's it. That's it. If people are getting motivated by this, that's all.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. Because yeah, motivation is a key factor. You're completely right. So a few of my points, I mean, you've covered them, but I'll just state them so that they're out there. So first of all, visual storytelling can make anything complex very, very, very simple if you do it right. All of us humans are visual learners. That means we learn better through pictures than we do through text and through words. Visual storytelling is way, way more fun and engaging. Obviously, anyone would prefer a picture over text, right? A picture is more equivalent to 1,000 words, and that saying is completely correct. And on the same lines, a picture can tell a much better story than words. And from an author point of view, it's very, very easy to convey your thoughts through visual storytelling, because you can show exactly what you want to show. Let's go to the next slide. So this is one of the more important and deep questions that I also open for discussion. I would like to discuss this with you. So why should visual storytelling be used in classrooms? Because right now it's not used in our education system to that extent. And that's what I'd like to see change. So what are your perspective on this question? Sure.
May I say?
Yeah, sure.
So, from my perspective, students should have a visual storytelling in classroom because they should get a motivational that we can do this work by help of our teachers or anyone is helping in our surrounding or in our classroom. So, the visual storytelling should be there in class so that the student get motivated and get powerful that we have to do this work so we can have a courage to do and confidence for doing the work.
That's completely correct. That's completely right. Thank you so much for that. Anyone else?
Bhaiya, may I say?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so from my perspective, the usual story make for children because, for an example, when we make a story, at the end of the story, we give the title to a story. Sorry, we give the moral of a story, what we have learned from the story. So I think, from my perspective, I think that, for an example, I give you that we say na जो होने वाला है भैया, we are not letting them. Okay, so I'm telling that when anything going to happen, we हम लोग पहले से ही we are ready for that thing. So from story we can learn for that also. And today I have written one story that do not judge a book by its cover. So that is also one moral of a story that so I think so that the from the story we can understand the moral, and in our life we are ready for that solution. We are ready for that solution.
That's right. That's completely correct. Thanks so much for that.
Yes, Bhaiya. Can
Yes.
I?
Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah. Visual storytelling be used in classroom because sometimes we can't understand कि what teachers are saying और मतलब क्या लिखी है उसमें समझ नहीं आ रहा है.
Yes.
और and that कि sometimes we bore from study. बोर हो जाते हैं और we can't do it anything and we give up. हम लोग को अच्छा नहीं लगता है because of we give up. So after story you telling be used in classroom, we can more interest put it in on and make motivated and learn more thing from that.
Yes.
Yeah. And when people are understand and be interested in work, so they will progress in life. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can I
Ma'am, may I
talk to
say?
you? I add something.
All of you can.
Can I go?
Sure.
Yeah. So if with visual storytelling we had a drama, if so it will be more interesting and more easy to learn. Because see, if one time someone is speaking, we will to know. But if someone is doing drama and acting and we are liking, we can remember, yeah, this friend of mine did this person's acting and he spoke this dialogue. So we will understand and we will know. We will remember everything. So we don't have to buy hard it. So the way we buy hard it till 12, 1 o'clock in the night, we will just have to refer our textbooks and everything once. So I think visual telling story with drama will be more good and more better to learn, and it will be easy also.
Yes.
Bhaiya, can I?
Yes, sure. Go ahead.
Bhaiya, I'm telling that visual story is very important for classroom because we should concentrate in. We are distracted in. Bhaiya means we are distracted with the this writing on the board, and we are listening, so we are distracted and seeing outside window and everything, so we will see in the pictures and we will understand also and concentrate also because of that.
Yes. That's right. Thank you so much.
Can I add, Bhaiya?
Yeah, sure. Last response. I think we're running a bit late on.
Yes, sorry, Bhaiya. Bhaiya, in your visual story, we will get interact easily in that. Many people likes comics like me and many students. We love to read comics, and if we will make visual story in that, we will easily learn science, physics, and many things. We will create imagination for ourselves.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Thank you so much for your answers. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Bhaiya.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I'll just summarize a few really cool responses I've heard. So first, yes, it does make learning much, much easier. It makes learning more interesting. Someone said in the chat that it increases class participation. That's completely correct as well. And that is, so you've seen the power of visual storytelling for yourself. So yes, all of you are correct. I have nothing to say here. You just covered all my points. All right, so now comes the interesting part where we'll experiment with visual storytelling. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you a small, 2 paragraphs from Wikipedia about a man named Democritus, who was a philosopher and who first came up with the idea of atoms. And after reading the Wikipedia page, I want you to read 4 pages of the comic that I've made, and then I wanted to compare the two. And we'll have a Mentimeter link down here, so you can go and click and vote for which medium you found more interesting.
भैया,
Yeah.
may I ask a question from you before experiment?
Sure.
In your life, you have scared from physics or not?
So I personally was not scared of physics a lot, but I've seen a lot of my friends being scared. And because everyone thought physics was so, scary and complex, I wanted to, remove all the complexity and make it simple.
Yeah, that's nice.
So I just want to read this one paragraph here and one on the next slide. Just have a look through this. There's 2 paragraphs, and I wanted to see how well my book compares with it. All right, so is it okay if we move on now? Great. All right. I know there's a lot of complex. It sounds very, very, not interesting, but bear with it.
No, yeah, it's interesting.
Thank you. Great. So let's move on to the next slide. So these are 4 pages of my comic. I want you to go through those, and I just want you to want you to vote for whichever medium you found better. So yeah, just have a look. So while you're reading, I just like to give you a bit of background about what's happening. So the timekeeper, who is the omnipotent being who can travel back in time, he takes Shiv back in time to meet Democritus, because Shiv is not able to understand his textbooks. So he goes to the man himself. All right, so let's move on to the next slide. Yeah, so these are the 4 pages. Just have a look. So just to give you a bit of context here as well, on the top, on the second page, on the top panel where Shiv says, but that is not what we learned in school, and he suddenly stopped. What he meant is, I think all of you have studied solids, liquid, and gases, the 3 states of matter. So in solids, you know that the atoms are very, very tightly packed together because they have a lot of very strong force between them. But Democritus thought that instead of strong forces, there were hooks. So it was a very smart idea by Democritus, but he was wrong in the end. So that's what I mean by this panel. Just give me a thumbs up if you've done reading. All right, so let's see, we can move on here. Now comes the interesting part. Let's have a poll. Shivani will just be putting on the Mentimeter link down below. So just go there, click on it, and just type. Just type, or just you select the option for whichever medium you found more interesting. That's great. Just wait for a few more seconds. So just want to put it out there that the 4 pages that I've drawn, they only capture the main points of the text you read. So some tiny specific details might be left out. All right. Oh, that's great. I never expected, first of all, so many people to respond to vote, and it's clear that more than double the people who are comfortable with reading the text are more comfortable reading the comic. Wow, that's actually very, very inspiring to hear. Thanks so much. So, well, there you have it. You see the power of visual storytelling for yourself. You read a text and you read a visual version of the same text, and the visual version did better than the text by a long shot. So I hope you guys are convinced that visual storytelling is indeed very, very, very powerful. All right, thank you everyone for voting. It's a great response. All right, so everyone's convinced. Let's move on. Okay, now we come to a DIY session, and where I actually try and teach you and give you some of the tips and tricks that I've learned over the course of creating this comic book that I've made. So I'll be just walking you through some tips that you can incorporate in your own work if you plan on doing something like this. So the first step to creating or to simplifying any complex concept is to create a relatable character. So what I mean by that is the character that you have, the main character, the protagonist of any book book you're considering, has to be representative of your target audience. So for example, my character is Shiv. He is not a prodigy. He loves hands-on learning, just like everyone else would. He's a ninth grader, and all the people I'm aiming my book for, the target audience, are also ninth graders. She was a funny guy. He messes up a lot of times. He's klutzy, and he is kind of neutral towards physics. So he's not like, he doesn't thoroughly enjoy it, but he doesn't hate it as well. So most of the audience who's going to be reading my book, they are also probably going to be neutral towards physics, or probably hate it, or probably won't like it, but they'll all be in the age category from 9th to 10th grade. So that's why my character matches the target audience. So when that happens, the readers can instantly connect with the character in the book. And when that happens, and Shiv, when he goes through a journey of self-discovery and he starts enjoying physics, the readers will be taken on the same journey. So that's the importance of creating a relatable character. The second tip I'd like to give you, if you're thinking of creating something like this, is you have to learn the concepts that you want to teach or simplify inside out. You have to understand the concept completely. So you look at the web, you read books, you watch videos, you have to do all the hard work, all the boring work. And only if you understand what you want to teach completely, will you be able to visualize it in your head. And only if you're able to visualize it in your head, will you be able to put it down on paper. So I'll sum this up in 3 steps. You have to understand in order to visualize, in order to create a visual story. The third tip I'd like to give you is, make your work organic and natural, make it original. So don't restrict yourself to one source. What I mean by that is, for example, I'll not completely depend on Wikipedia for, let's say, if I'm talking about physics. I'll look at a lot of sources, and then I'll learn, I'll build my own understanding. And from that own understanding, I will create and I will simplify concepts. Don't just rely on one source, otherwise you just end up copy pasting stuff. And probably the most interesting part and the most important tip I'd like to give you is insert some elements of humor. So for very content heavy subjects like physics, where there's a lot of information, it's very, very easy for the reader to get tired, even if it's a visual book. So in that case, humor, what it does is it humanizes the book. It humanizes the story. It kind of acts as a period of relaxation for the reader. It lightens the tone. So a good analogy I'd like to give you is like, if reading a book is like a marathon, then humor is like those small refreshment breaks that you have. And humor is probably one of the most important parts, important elements you have to have. And you don't have to be a comedian. I'm not saying that, just have simple jokes. For example, Shiv is a klutz. He keeps, falling down. He once fainted of exhaustion because he learned too much physics. Yeah, so it's like some small things which will, engage the audience. And this is like the big tip, a big tip I like to give you. If you are looking to, create a book that you want others to read, just use a medium of visual storytelling that your target audience will enjoy. So if you do that, let's say I use comics. Comics are very popular. Almost everyone enjoys them. They're all visuals and they're very, very interesting and exciting. So if you use comics and the people reading your books like comics, it will create some interest and it'll comfort them because it's something that they're already familiar with. And this is probably the most important pitfall that I've seen and I have fallen into myself. Don't worry, this is all, you don't have to understand any of this, but this is just as an example. So here I've used a small, an extract from Wikipedia. It says the quarks, which are basically particles in particle physics, are subject to the Pauli exclusion principle, which states that no two identical fermions can simultaneously occupy the same quantum state. Doesn't matter if it doesn't make any sense. I'm sure it doesn't. It didn't make sense to me either. But if I'm trying to simplify this for someone else to understand, and I end up doing this, I draw a character and I just copy paste or just change the words a little bit and add them to speech bubbles, that won't make a difference. So if you see this, it's mainly the same thing. And using a character in this case would not make any difference. So you have to build an understanding, and yes, you have to be organic, like I said before. Don't rely on one source and don't just copy facts. Next. And some things that you don't need. So, when I was on this process of creating a book, I've seen a lot of, a lot of people thinking that you have to be an expert artist to, be a visual storyteller. And that's the wrongest thing that can possibly, the wrongest thing that can possibly be there in visual storytelling. You do not have to have great drawing skills. I was reading a few posts on a blog site called Medium, there an artist, he's a very famous artist. He just draws blobs, Jeff the Blob, and his work is very famous, and it proves that to be a visual storyteller, you have to have a great story. You need to have an idea. You have to have a pen and a paper. That's it. You do not need to be an expert artist. As long as you can draw something that the readers can understand, it's perfectly fine, because then that becomes your style. And also, it does not have to be a comic. It can obviously be a picture book. It can be something visual, like a drama also is a form of visual storytelling. So don't restrict yourself to a comic if you don't want to, keep on, making panel by panel. It's completely up to you. It's a very flexible medium. That's what I like about it.
We are like TV show.
What, Vishal?
Like TV show.
In a way, yes. In a way.
It's a visual.
Yes, it is a visual. It is a visual. But for people for students, if they want to leverage visual storytelling, this is some ways that they can do it. Now we're approaching, the kind of the end of the session, and I just like to point out a few things here. So I'm pretty sure you've all noticed that for the past few slides, for the past 3 slides, I haven't used a single bullet point. I've only used pictures that I've drawn myself. And I'm pretty sure that all of your attention was dragged to the pictures and instead of all the text around, because that just proves that all of us are visual storytellers and all of us get attracted to drawings. So now I'm pretty sure that whenever you think of the session, you'll think of those images and you will remember everything that I've talked about. This is another plus point of visual storytelling, because visual art helps you focus. It focuses the reader's attention. So yeah, I show you the power of visual storytelling in my presentation as well. And One more thing. I mean, some of you, I'm not sure if you're thinking this, but some of you think that maybe think that if you're using visual storytelling, it has to be like a masterpiece. It has to be, published, and it has to be professional. And that's completely wrong. You can use visual storytelling for yourself, and I'm going to show you just how to do that after we have two debrief questions. So now there are two questions I'd like you to answer that I'd love to get your answers on, your perspective on. So what's one big takeaway you had, and how do you plan to take this back to your own classroom? You can answer via chat or through the microphone.
Bhaiya, please explain first question. Didn't get it.
What is one thing that you learned in my session or this session that you will take back with you, and that you really enjoyed, that really it struck you, like wow?
So can I say, Bhaiya?
Yeah, sure.
So what one thing I learned from your plan is that everything is just for attraction of the not get stressed from studies, not get worried about the physics and everything. Like, feel free to understand and fun learn for them. And the most fun thing is that it really attracts that the drawing, whatever you have made or whatever the things are, it's attract the most than whatever you have written. Is exactly the way whatever the action does that character do is making me to understand what actually it does mean. If I'm in ninth standard and I've learned, if I get a comic like for 12th subject, then I can easily learn, because in a way you have taught us it in a really easy way, which is break down all the studies in a easy fun way to understand, and that's really easy to understand us and all the other students. And if in other higher bigger class studies also, we can learn easily by this comic. It's really useful for us and others. Thank you Vera, for making this wonderful comic.
Thank you for being a part of this class.
And Bhaiya,
Yes, sure.
one thing that's take away from me is कि जो story है ना, a story, how to write a story. Yeah, this is very important for author, you know that, and artist also. I learned ki how to imagine a interesting, most put more new thing or amazing that people will attract to you or come closer. Yeah,
That's great. That's great. Thank you so much.
Bhaiya, may I say?
Sure.
So from this session, I learned that we do not have to give up in anymore. We have to trust on ourselves. How much we can do, we how much in our, you say that now. That's only that we do not have to give up. We have to trust on ourselves and try to learn that thing that you जिससे आपको डर है, try to learn that thing, so then only you can make better in that also.
That's right. That's a great takeaway. Thank you so much.
May I share?
Yes.
Bhaiya?
Yeah, we don't have to be short in time. Karishma, you can say, and then we can have the last response. Because one more thing to talk to you about.
Okay. So Bhaiya, I will take from here is like there are a lot of problems which will be coming in your life. But if you don't take out solution for those problems, they will never be solved. If
Yes.
you take suggestion, you will just get advice, you will get help, but your solution will be not made. So for getting our solution, our problems need, we only have to do. So I will take from here is how to take solution for our own problems
Yes. That's
and how to solve it by our own and show the world that we can do it and we will be the winner.
Yes. That's great, Karishma, because visual storytelling allows you to solve problems in not only in your life but in others, problems that others are facing as well. All right. So,
And भैया add to point
yes.
uh, कि how to break things in a smaller way which is equal to the same longer thing.
Yes.
It is same, but it is in smaller.
Yes. That's right. Thank you so much for your responses. I feel so happy that all of you got something so interesting to take back with you. So I'd just like to give you kind of an idea that of what you could do with visual storytelling in your classrooms. So again, visual storytelling does not have to be fancy. The biggest benefit of using visual storytelling yourself is that it helps cement your understanding. Let's say I'll give you an example. I'm pretty sure you've all learned of Newton's laws in physics. Yes, thumbs up. Newton's 3 laws of physics, yeah, of motion. Yeah, so those 3 laws are very, very simple. But a suggestion that I would give you is that if you just sit down one day with a piece of paper, you draw a face, you draw 2 dots, you draw a smiley face, you draw a small beard for Newton, you draw his curly hair, and you just draw 2 or 3 diagrams that show Newton's 3 laws, and you draw a speech bubble from Newton's mouth saying what his laws are. I'm assure you that it will definitely, you'll never forget it again in your life, because you have associated a concept that you have learned in class with something visual. Whenever you draw a connection between visual and something you learn in class or content, you will always remember it. And you should always, if you make something like this, please do share it with others in your class, because if you draw something like this, it will definitely help others. And if you think something is tricky, think about it, just put it down on a piece of paper, draw something, and it'll definitely become clearer.
Absolutely right.
Thank you. So before we close up, what I'd like you guys to do is, I'll give you, let's say 3 minutes. I'd like you to brainstorm about some place where you could use visual storytelling in your classroom, some place where you could apply visual storytelling in your own work. So you would just walk away with something constructive.
So, Bhaiya, one thing that you have shared is really inspiring for us. Mostly we can also find something new, like we have also get many ideas about it, how to make study better and easier for everybody, not complicated. Thank you, Vaya. We have gotten many inspired by your thoughts and your way, and it will help a lot to others.
Thank you so much, Sania. That means a lot to me. Thank you, Vishal, for your message.
And भैया,
Yes.
I can observe that you are teaching visualize because we know that visualize is very important than knowledge.
Yes, definitely is. It definitely is. Yes, Vishal. Yes. Completely right. Okay, we'll take one last response, then we'll move. I'll close the session.
Bhaiya, may I?
Yes, go on.
So in my study, I can use the visualized storytelling by whenever I am not understanding something in a study, so we can draw a diagram and write something about that, and we can show that uh, tell us that this is the way you have to understand, and we can understand better by that.
Exactly, Anjali. Thank you so much for your response. So, guys, it was absolutely great having all of you with us today. I was not expecting all of you who are watching on this call to be so interested. So glad that I've learned so much today and how ways to improve my book. So, thank you all for attending this masterclass. It was amazing having you here. And just remember that the smallest of things that you do with visual storytelling will give you huge results. Whether it be just drawing a small diagram, a small face with a speech bubble, talking about something in any subject, it'll be great. It'll help you and it will help others if you share. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here.
And भैया तुषार,
Yes, Tushar.
Bhaiya, hello, myself Tushar. Nice to meet you, Bhaiya. One thing that I learned from your session is that we have to always use the visual, and I am always using the visual, not in my study, I am using in my life also.
Yes.
And I am also scaring from science, but from your opinion, now I am brave in science. Thank you, Bhaiya.
Thank you so much, Tushar. Means a lot to me. All right. So, Didi, should we debrief now?
Yes. Adeline, can we stop screen share so that we can head into the debrief? And thank you so much, Arnav. I think my biggest takeaway from this session, and even though I did like know what you're going to talk about, I think my biggest takeaway is just how important it is to just listen to our children while we work as educators, right? I think some of the perspectives that I heard from the students or even from you just really shifted the way even I look at, just teaching and teaching subjects like science that are so scary for a lot of people. I was looking at the live stream and we had a lot of you having a lot of questions. I think everyone is convinced why these alternate and diverse teaching methods are important. But I think there are a lot of questions around the how. So, Arnav, those are some of the questions that I'm going to throw at you.
Okay.
I think the biggest questions we had was how do you take this back to different subjects, since it's so difficult to like create comics, or we think that it has to be like this beautiful drawing. How do you take this back to subjects like economics or math or science or even English? What do you think we can do for that?
Yeah. So, what I talk to you about that. So, visual storytelling. The beauty of this, of visual storytelling is that it transcends all boundaries of subjects. So, the moment you put your pen down on paper and you draw a simple figure, what happens is you're making a connection with what you're learning, and immediately that whatever you make will be imprinted into your mind, and that's why visuals are always more effective. And yeah, I think the same principle can be applied to different subjects. For example, in economics, if you're learning demand and supply, we could have a short comic strip about a guy talking about how prices have gone up and how it's becoming really difficult to manage supply. It's becoming expensive, and my disposable income is low. Or for students to study themselves, they can just the big takeaways that they have from the chapter. They can make a small figure, and from a speech bubble, they can put down important points. The reason I'm emphasizing that speech bubbles and drawing a characters again and again is because it will help. It makes a connection. You'll remember the figure. You'll not remember the text. You'll remember the guy, and because you remember the person you're drawing, you remember what he said. So yeah, I've seen it with myself, and it was a great discovery when I first did it.
Thank you. I think that was so insightful. Like I'm thinking about subjects like history, right? That can actually like thinking about the world wars and what that might look like in this entire long drawn comic book, or even our English chapters for that matter, for students who might struggle with reading slightly longer text. Do you have any more ideas on what this could look like in different subjects?
Yes. So history. I mean, history is the most visual you can get. And so I think there's no better way of teaching history than using visuals. I mean, I honestly don't know why we have history textbooks. Yeah, but yeah, visuals are extremely powerful, especially in history, subjects like history, which involve a lot of, thinking and visualizing. Because when you read history textbooks, you have to try to visualize and see what's happening. And the moment you put it down on paper, like somehow, so drawing small figurines, it'll get imprinted into your mind. And I have like one kind of something to put out for teachers if they are looking probably to integrate visual storytelling into their classrooms, is that for every small concept learned, let's say in physics, because I'm probably more, a bit predisposed to that, or any subject, some small concepts, students can each be assigned a sub part of that concept, and they could be asked to present that concept in the form of a story. It can be a drama, it can be a short one-page, comic, just a few, like a blob, like I said, like a blob, speaking something, but that will basically increase engagement with visual storytelling, and all those, all the exercises that students do can be shared in class. So it'll be like a collaborative session where everyone will gain, and definitely even the teacher. And I think the fact that visual storytelling is so powerful just goes to show that children learn in so many different ways. And as you know, today, I don't think we're doing justice to the different ways that students learn. And I think if we try to integrate visual storytelling into our classrooms actively, then we will plug that gap, and we'll satisfy one of the big problems in that education has right now. So we'll be empowering students.
Thank you so much, Arnav. I think it's so interesting to think about like different learning styles as well, right? Even in a classroom in the same grade. I think with that, we're good to close out. Thank you all so much for joining our live stream. Thank you so much, Arnav. Thank you to the Firki team, and all those who have been a part of just making this possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much.